This is the Citroen Oli, and this is everything you need to know about it. But before we get into all that, if you want to see lots more new car reviews, then make sure you subscribe to our channel and go to whatcar.com for a great deal on your next car. Now, Citroen already makes a very small, very weird electric car, the Citroen Ami. It has a top speed of 28 miles an hour, an electric range of about 46 miles an hour, and it can cost as little as £20 a month to own. But this is something different. For a start, you can't buy it even if you wanted to, because it's a concept car. But what this is a small EV outlining Citroen's thinking for some of its future production models. Elements of the Oli will be seen on future cars, like the badge. And in fact, this is the first car to feature Citroen's new branding, which is a modern reimagining of their logo from 1919. Apparently the headlights are going to be used on the upcoming C3 as well. Let's be honest, we probably won't see a vertical windscreen like this on a production car anytime soon, because it's not particularly aerodynamic, is it? But what it offers is a much smaller windscreen than on a traditional car, and it's also much easier to fit as well. So there are some benefits to it. And it's also not like Citroen has completely forgotten about aerodynamics, because some clever design allows air in through the headlights, up through the bonnet and over the windscreen to try and make it slightly more aerodynamic. And it's also not such a huge consideration for this particular concept car because it's got a limited top speed of 68 miles an hour. Reducing cost is a bit of a theme with the Oli. Another example of this is the fact that it has exactly the same bumpers at the front and at the rear, like the Ami. So that reduces the cost because you use the same part and you only need one set of moulds to make them. The bonnet and the roof are made not from steel, but from a cardboard compound, and they're actually strong enough to be able to stand on. They also have this special coating which provides additional strength and also helps keep out UV rays and, more importantly in the UK, rain. Concept cars tend to have pretty crazy wheels, and for the Oli you have these custom-made 20-inch aluminium and steel wheels, which are apparently cheaper to make than traditional alloys, and they're only about 6 kilograms heavier. But the really crazy thing about this car is the rubber, because you have this experimental Goodyear Eagle Go tyre, which can apparently last for up to 500,000 kilometres or 310,000 miles, and 2 retreads. And these wheel arches can be removed fairly simply with tools that you'd have at home if you want to have a go at some quick damage repair yourself. If you're planning on finding out exactly how long those tyres will last, you're probably going to have to factor in a charging stop or two. The Oli gets a 40 kilowatt hour battery. Now, the car has a similar footprint to a VW ID3, but that car weighs almost 2,000 kilograms, and this is about 1,000 kilograms. So it is significantly lighter, even though it doesn't have the biggest battery pack in the world. Apparently Citroen was targeting 6.2 miles per kilowatt hour for the efficiency of this car, which is almost twice as much as what a regular EV will be able to manage right now. And if you're wondering where the charging port is, it is behind the new badge that the Oli gets. And at its fastest maximum charging speed, you'll go from 20 to 80% in 23 minutes. So what is this interior like? Well, again, there's examples of things being simple and dumbed down slightly and costs being reduced here and there. And you can see with the seats in particular, they look very strange. And they apparently use 80% fewer parts than the seat that you'd find in a traditional new car. This up here is some 3D printing, and even the adjustment of the seat has been reduced to try and help keep costs down. So you can still move the seat forwards and back, just not quite as far as you might be able to in some other cars. You can move them up and down, again, not a huge range of adjustment. And in the steering wheel, that moves up and down, but it doesn't move in and out. Now, the infotainment system is based around your smartphone. And this is pretty cool really. You can see you've got this cassette player-like slot here. And the idea is that you take your smartphone, you deposit it in there, and then these screens show your driver display and the features on your smartphone. And then you can control it using this dial down here on the steering wheel. All of which sounds great in theory, but of course we can't actually see it in practice. What's great to see is that on this futuristic small electric car, you have got physical controls for the air conditioning, which is very, very good, and a much better solution to it than some touchscreen that's impossible to use while you're driving. Another cool feature is in this storage tray here, these weird tentacle things are designed to just stop your things from flying around if you put them in there, which is quite handy really. And you've actually got speakers that are Bluetooth speakers, so when you finish driving you can actually remove them and take them with you and then bring them back later and stick them back in the car. So all in all, this is a really cool interior and there's lots of elements to like, but obviously it's just a concept car, and is any production car ever really going to look like this? Probably not. The Oli has two rear hinged doors, so access into the rear seats is actually really good because you have this big open space to get in. Once you're back here, you may notice, again, it's slightly unusual on the inside of this car. So it's a 4-seater, there's only 2 seats in the back here, and the sitting position is slightly odd because I feel very low, but the floor also feels very high. And then you've got these kind of floating 3D printed headrests here, which don't quite fit me perfectly. And I'm not quite convinced at how comfortable these seat backs are going to be in the front as well. What else is weird is this material that feels kind of like a foam thing separating the 2 seats here. There's lots of USB-C ports around, and also you can have a tablet to keep passengers in the back entertained as well. Now, in terms of space, obviously it seems a bit ridiculous doing this because it's a concept car, not a production car. But you can see legroom is not amazing, but I do fit. Headroom is slightly better though. Overall, the more conventional ID3 is more spacious, but there's no point drawing that comparison on a car like this, is there? Now the boot, like the rest of this concept car, is quite unconventional. You can either just reach into the back to access whatever's in there, or you can lower down this tailgate to get there as well. You can create this 2-layer effect and provide some protection for whatever's in there, although you do still have 2 massive holes. And of course, this is nothing like an ID3, nothing like an MG4, nothing like a traditional boot. It's just another kind of interesting twist on what you might be able to do with boot space. Now, we did get a chance to actually drive the Oli, but we had a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit, and we could only drive it around this empty conference hall over those odd metal covers on the floor which made lots of noise when we went over them. So we couldn't actually record anything for you. But what we can reveal is that the Oli feels pretty much as you'd expect an EV to feel at 5 miles an hour. And we can't really pass any judgment on the ride or handling. It's a concept car after all. It does though have a single motor driving the front wheels. There's no power or torque figures available. There's no quoted 0 to 62 miles an hour time either, but it does apparently have a top speed of 68 miles an hour. So what's the price for all this? Well, apparently, the cost of producing this one-off concept car was around £1 million. But Citroen quotes a price tag of around €25,000 or £22,000 if, hypothetically, this was to go on sale as a production car. The thing to bear in mind is that that is never going to happen. So Citroen could have said it's going to cost £5, £10. It doesn't matter, and we'll never know. But what is important here is that there's a new wave of electric cars coming from Citroen very soon. And apparently low pricing is going to be central to the appeal of those new EVs. And if someone was to release an electric car that cost £22,000, then it would straight away become one of the cheapest options around. So, can we draw any conclusions from the Oli? Not really. Like most concept cars, it's the ideas and the theories behind the strange product which are more important. And if these themes of lightness, affordability and sustainability are carried into Citroen's next generation of electric cars, along with some of the charm the quirky Ami has, then the French manufacturer could certainly shake up the small EV market. So that is everything you need to know about the Citroen Oli. Could this lead to a game-changing electric car in the future? Tell us in the comments below. And subscribe to our channel to see lots more new car reviews. And don't forget, if you want a great deal on your next car, go to whatcar.com.